Hello! My name is Mia. If we have not yet talked or met, it is very nice to meet you. I want to be friends, and I'm so happy that you're here. I used to do these recap videos. I started them around when I started pursuing a career in music. These seemed like sort of a succinct way to talk with you guys and tell you what's up in the world of music and in my personal life. I love sharing life with people, and so it is a joy for me to come on here and share about my life and how personal things coincide with the creative process. But I totally fell off on making these. I have done a couple vlogs, so you've seen bits and pieces of the everyday life, and of course I post on Instagram and everything else, but the last recap video I did ended in March 2023. And as of filming this, and I hope to get these out this month, it is December 2025. So we have a lot of ground to cover, but my goal is to make a couple videos, get through all of that time, and then to pick up kind of where I left off after that and maybe make one of these every couple months. I have notes for all of the rest of 2023 after I finish that recap video. So I'm kind of going to talk about definitely what happened every month of that year. Career things, different family things, friend things, a lot of travel that I did. But then I also have written down the songs that I wrote in that month, the concerts I went to, the songs I was obsessed with at the time, and then like the books and movies that I finished. April 2023. If you missed the rest of them, you want to hear what happened before that, go check out those videos. I'm going to link a ton of stuff down in the description. The major thing that happened in April of 2023 was that I filmed a music video for my first single, Fairy Tale. Fairy Tale is out everywhere you listen to music. The music video is not. And I will tell you about that in a second. I went to California. My best friend Rachel was a film major at Biola, and so she had all the connections and all the know-how to put together a music video for me. It was so kind. There were so many kind and wonderful people that were so generous with their time and their resources. I didn't pay anybody that was on the set. They were all doing it just for their resume and for the love of it, which was just incredible. They were all students from Biola who were really talented, and we luckily got to use Biola's film equipment. So we had about $30,000 of film equipment on our set, if I remember correctly. What I did spend the budget on was, of course, feeding everybody, and then I rented out this space that we got to film in for like 6 hours. It was like a really tight schedule, and normally that space would have cost $3,000, but $3,000 was my whole music video budget. The owner of that Airbnb, that home, whatever it was, agreed to let us use it. We were all students. It was just a personal project. She let us use it for $1,000, which was so huge. And one thing I was really learning that month was just to ask for what you want. And if it's a no, it's a no, but you never know if you don't ask. And it actually got me a lot of things, which was really cool. So we got to film in this beautiful mansion in Bel Air. It was so cool. All of the people that were working on the set were extras in the music video. And Isaiah, the guy who played my love interest in the music video, we didn't have him locked down until the day before we filmed. So it was so up in the air, and it was really last minute, really sketchy, stressful, but we made it. So I will save some of the music video stories, the rest of them anyway, for once that comes out. But basically what happened is we finished filming it. It was in the hands of a couple of different people, different editors, but they were all students, and since I wasn't paying them, of course, there was so much leeway and grace for having to finish other projects and whatever else. And it's currently being color graded, and it's actually in Rachel and my court right now. I want to get that out. My original goal is to get that out at the end of this year, but it's kind of feeling like not the vibe. So I'm feeling like maybe February 2026. But I kept saying it's gonna come out, and it just still hasn't. So we'll see. But I have other things that I'm going to want to release, and Fairy Tale needs to be out and done before I can release anything else. So we're getting there. But that was an amazing experience, and recording the music video was one of my two favorite parts of the process of releasing music. It was recording it in the studio and recording the music video. Those are my two favorite parts of the whole thing, and I've only done it once. I've only done one release cycle, but I just loved it. And the people that I met there, I'm still friends with. There were just so many amazing people, and I'm gonna have to shout all of them out down the road. Of course, we're already in SoCal. I go there quite a bit, and Rachel was living there, so was another one of my best friends, Charlotta. They were both still in college at the time. We had a little picnic together, and then I went to Disneyland with Rachel, and Liz, our producer of the music video, came out for a little bit. Otherwise, I spent pretty much the whole month just working. And going through the archives and figuring out what I was doing all these months, I didn't realize truly how much I was working. I was working a lot, and it was all to save up for all my music stuff, which is super cool, and I got to spend a lot of money on it and make things I was really proud of. I had just been working at a restaurant at the country club that I lived nearby, and that was a lot of work, a little bit traumatic in the workplace dynamic, but I made a lot of money, so that was good. And then I also was working at the athletic club at that country club as well, which didn't pay very much, but I pretty much just sat there for 5 or 6 hours. So I was able to edit things and journal and read and stuff, so that was good. I got all of the excitement I needed in that LA trip. I was inspired to go to some concerts after I had traveled that previous March and hung out with all my friends. They were talking about music. I was like, ooh, I gotta go to some concerts. So I planned it out. I was living on Cape Cod, but we still had a place in Lexington, Massachusetts, which is closer to Boston. And so I would drive out that like hour and a half to go see some concerts. And both of the ones I went to were solo. I went to CC Coakley and Field Guide and met some cool people there. It was awesome. And then I also went to the Half Alive show, and Dev Lemons and Tessa Violet opened for that one. And I'd seen Tessa Violet before, actually, open for Dodie several years back. A big motif that started around the spring of 2023 was I was really trying to work on enjoying being single. And I've never been in a relationship. I've been single my whole life, but I've always had an idolatry of relationships. Idolatry might be a strong word, but I have always wanted to be in one. I am a romantic. I love thinking about those things, and it can kind of take away from my faith, my productivity, just my general happiness sometimes, and I'm not afraid to feel sad or lonely. I love writing from it. I love journaling about it, but I really wanted to get really strong in my identity as a single woman. And so I was reading a lot of books about it and writing a lot of songs about it. So this is when I wrote This Is Me Surrendering. This is me surrendering, though I search, there's not a thing I've seen of licking close to rival your love. Cabin in the Valley. I moved into a cabin in the valley with a porch that wraps around. If You Never Touch Me. If you never touch me, if that's what you consciously meant, I'd like you all the more if you loved for me, I'm sure, knowing that I mean much more than it. And Ruin Me. And those are all songs that kind of talk about my faith and how it relates to my love life. And I wrote a lot of songs that seem like romantic songs, but have a different meaning to me. I wrote what will eventually be like a whole album of songs like that. I was really like hunkering down and only consuming media that had no romance whatsoever. I was trying to completely cut it out so I would just have no input, because when you do that, you realize how much media really talks about romance, even just as a given, even if there's nothing inherently biased about it. They are always talking about it, and that applies to lots of concepts. Like if you take a break from any topic, whether it be spirituality or politics or romance or whatever it is, you realize how many opinions are so perpetuated in the discussions about it. I was watching a lot of like kids movies, and even like I watched The Jungle Book, and they even have Mowgli go off with this chick, or like there's a like married couple as parents or something, I don't remember, at the end of it. And I'm like, dude, really? This whole movie has been so good. That's just to show you how serious I was being about it. So all I watched was The Jungle Book and Alice in Wonderland. I think I was really just working a lot and working on editing and everything, writing a lot of music, and maybe I need to take a page from my book back then because I have been watching a lot of movies and not writing so much lately. So that was probably smart. Big music things around then were the Paramore album, their most recent one, which is scary that that was in 2023. But that was kind of when I got into Paramore, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I knew all the basic songs, but that was the first album I was like really into because I was a little young for Paramore. One of my favorite songs of all time I discovered in that month. It's The Art of Letting You Go by you and Jay Phillips. And I actually just, as of right now, I'm going to be releasing a cover of that on YouTube this weekend, but it will have already been out by the time you watch this. So go take a listen to that. That is just one of my favorite songs. And I found it as I was starting to kind of grieve our Lexington home, which I will talk about in May. And then Music Box by Leith Ross. So good. So May 2023. I went to some more concerts. These were both concerts I went to with people, which is cool. I went to Lizzie McAlpine with my sister on May 1st, and that was her Christmas present that I had gotten her that year. We sat in the line at the House of Blues in Boston for like 5 hours and just read. But we were like the second row behind the barricade, which was super cool, so amazing. That was for the 5 Seconds Flat tour. That was a really good show. Olivia Barton opened, and she's definitely grown on me since I started listening to her. And then I also went to Ben Abraham with my friend Olivia, and Kieran Rhodes opened for him, and that was a really great show too. He did this super cool thing where he was singing Requiem, which was a song that was very near and dear to me when I was in college. He had us all kind of sing along like our own melody or our own hum, whatever, which is something that I'm used to doing in more like church settings, which he mentioned, but he said he wanted to bring that into the song, and it was really magical and cool. The big thing in my life in May was that we no longer had our house in Lexington. I don't care that much. I was starting to become more of an independent person, but it really messed with me because I had moved out to Cape Cod with my family that previous summer. That was kind of supposed to just be a summer thing, but then I ended up staying and it became my permanent residence. But for one, I didn't like the lack of freedom that I couldn't drive to Boston and see concerts anymore. I didn't have a place to stay. But it also was the last place I ever lived where I wasn't an adult pursuing music. It was the last place I ever truly rested because we moved there during COVID when I was 16. That was still when I was doing school, and I was living there right before I did YWAM, and then did YWAM, came back and rested there for about 5 months. Moving to Cape Cod was like, okay, it's time to get serious. I am paying a little bit of rent to my parents. I'm working full time. And so losing that place was like, oh, I'm an adult now. And I've never had a childhood home because I moved from my first home when I was 9. Instead of having a first childhood home, I had a last childhood home, and I lost that then, and that was kind of hard for me. So I wrote the song Here When I'm Not about that, about my sheets keep the night sleeper snug. Oh, my flowers still in the pot. Will I be here when I am not? Like being there for the last time. And it was weird because the people we sold it to, we like left all our stuff there. Like they wanted to buy it with all the stuff in it. So I didn't really take a lot with me, and I just loved the room I had there. It reminded me of Little Women so much. My mom did an amazing job decorating it. I also wrote a song, The Trouble Is. But the trouble is, I think I love me more. And that was about my friend Rachel's breakup, which is cool. Hopefully her ex doesn't watch this video, but if he does, hey, that's about you. The other songs I wrote were all that whole romance motif, Runaway. For the winter is done, rain falls over and gone on this beautiful one, and I think we'll run away. My Own Bloody Problem. But maybe my joy is my own bloody problem. When I think for a second, it makes me a fool to go out for flowers and swipe my own card, then pretend that I got resolution from you. The things I want. Maybe I can want the things I want, and that's okay if I can win. They're just not now. Those were all that. It was my birthday in May. We didn't do a lot, kind of just like had a major charcuterie board, but I love charcuterie boards, and I'm vegan, so they're kind of tricky, but when I make them myself, I go all out. So fun. And then a major thing in my career is I started playing gigs at this coffee shop, Bread and Roses. Sadly, Bread and Roses is no longer a thing. I think they might have kept the name, but the people who owned it and really made it what it was no longer own it anymore. That was a whole thing. It was very, very sad. As it was before, under that ownership, I would play these 2-hour sets of originals and cute covers, and it was fully vegan, and they would feed me. It was a bookstore. It was just so much fun. And that was my first time actually having a recurring set. So I would play there every week, and that was just super cool for me. And I had a blast doing it. I met some cool people there and just felt very validating for me as an artist starting out. I also was accepted to my YWAM secondary school, the audio production course, that month. And I was really early to sign up. I think I was the first person, and I was under the impression that I had to really get on it, so that was kind of weird. But I was very excited, and that gave me something to look forward to that following year. We're going to talk about that for the 2024 video. I think I already was sort of starting to leave the whole not watching romance things, and I still wasn't watching like inherently romance, but these movies probably had some element of it in it, and it was fine. But I watched Air with my family, and then Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I still try to keep up with Marvel, not as religiously as I used to because I got really into it in high school. But I think I'm more into Marvel than a lot of people are these days because everybody's kind of over it. And I still watch it because I love continuity. I was just really into Boy Genius's album. Yeah, was just listening to that all the time because I also knew I was going to go see them that next month. And then I read Gentle and Lowly by Dana Ortlund that month, which is a book that my friend Charlotta got me. All right, June 2023 was a very fun month. My sister did this fashion intensive in New York with Parsons for the second year in a row. And the first year that she did it, I was debilitatingly anxious. I got on anxiety meds later that year, and so this was a redemptive year for me. 2023 was the year I saw the most Broadway shows I've ever seen in my life. I think I saw like 28. I love Broadway, and it's the one thing I have zero financial restraint on. I will run myself into the ground financially to see Broadway shows. There's nothing else I will do that for. I will unplug everything I'm not using in my apartment to save $3, but Broadway shows can take all my money. She was there for 3 weeks, and I was only there for 1. My family switched off who was hanging out with her and staying with her. So the first week my parents were going, I was trying to drive them to the airport, but then their flight got delayed and they were gonna miss whatever they were gonna miss, I don't know. And so we turned around and we were like, we're driving to Providence. That was like an hour and 40-minute drive from where we were in Hyannis, Cape Cod. But I was like, we can do it. Let's just go. And they can take a train. So I drove them to Providence, and then I was there, and I had never been to Providence, and I love Providence. I was like, hey, I'm already here. I dropped them off. I'm gonna explore. And I love when I get in those spontaneous moods. So there was this vegan food hall, Plant City, that I had never been to, and I went there, and I love Plant City. I started going there every time I took a train out of Providence. And I went and sat by the river and I ate it, and there were a bunch of like families and kids playing around. There was a food truck that had cereal milk ice cream, and then there was like some guitarist playing on the bridge that was a little bit far away that I could still hear. It was just the most magical, spontaneous thing, and it was so much fun. A week later, I left for New York to be with my sister, and basically I just walked her to her classes every day, walked her back to the hotel from her classes every day, and then we would get dinner out sometimes, but mostly I was just going to see theater. So every morning, almost every morning, I was hanging out at Ariston, which is this super cute coffee shop and flower shop that is right by Parsons. They probably got so sick of me. I was there for so long just editing and whatever else, reading. But then I would go and see shows. I'm gonna give you the list. Are you ready? Lion King, Once Upon a One More Time, New York, New York, Leopoldstadt, Camelot, Light in the Piazza at New York City Center, Sweeney Todd, The Sign in Sidney Brewstein's Window, Moulin Rouge, Shucked, The Light in the Piazza again, and then The Play That Goes Wrong. That's a lot of shows. My parents were very generous and paid for like half of those, but then I did pay for the other half. And my sister went to a couple of them with me, which is shocking because she's not a theater person at all. I love talking about Broadway, so I'm just gonna give you a quick rundown. Lion King, I was a little disappointed because it's a classic, but I think I overhyped it in my brain. I was like, this is kind of mid. There were also so many kids there, so it wasn't the vibe of Broadway that I normally like. Once Upon a One More Time, I had a lot of fun at, actually. Normally I'm not a jukebox person, but when they use an artist's song and it's not a story about the artist, but it's a different made up story, I'm more forgiving. So that's like Moulin Rouge, Mamma Mia, that kind of thing. New York, New York, I loved. I think I've rated it too highly in my Broadway ranking at this point because it's like number 3 or something, but I love Colton Ryan. And he was the lead actor in it, and he played like 90 instruments in it. It was just very attractive to me. Leopoldstadt, I had a hard time understanding, and maybe that's a flaw on my part, but just like the staging of it, the line delivery, I didn't really get. It also is probably that I don't resonate with it, and I love seeing productions that honor cultures I'm not as familiar with, but I just didn't really get it. But maybe I need to read the play, and maybe that would help me get it. Camelot, I had a lot of fun with. That was Philippa Sue, and she is just astonishing. She is such a wonderful performer, and I got to see that at the Vivian Beaumont Theater, which is my favorite theater on Broadway. The Light in the Piazza is officially my second favorite musical I've ever seen. That score is just, it's so good. And I had listened to it before, but seeing it live with a live orchestra, there was something about it. It was so good. And so as soon as I got out of that at New York City Center, they did 6 performances. I bought tickets to see it again because I had one open night where I didn't know what show I was going to see, and I had to see 2 of the 6 performances that they did. It was so good. Sweeney Todd, I got to see with Josh Groban. That was cool, and my sister had a good time with that one. And then we saw The Sign in Sidney Brustein's Window, which was Oscar Isaac, and my sister loves him, so that's cool. I was a fan of Moon Knight, so fun to see him in that. And it was one of the first more modern plays that I saw, so I kind of understood it a little more than normal, and that started to open my eyes. So now I've started to see more modern plays, and they really get me fired up when I can understand them. I saw Moulin Rouge again. I've seen it 9 times now. I don't know what time that was, but I believe I saw JoJo play Satine in that, which was cool. And I saw Shucked with my sister, and we actually sat next to one of the lead actors' aunt and uncle, so that was kind of fun. They were having a blast. And then I saw The Light in the Piazza again, and I sat right behind Eva Noblezada and Reeve Carney, which was cool. I got to meet them. And my final show was The Play That Goes Wrong. That's one of those that they do on Mondays. They don't do most shows on Mondays, so I always am saving those shows for when I need a Monday show and I'm free on a Monday. And that was really fun. It was a ball. I also went to a couple concerts. When I was in New York, I went to, I don't remember what it was called. It was one of those like music festivals where they only have one stage. It was Barty Strange, Dijon, Clairo, and Boy Genius. And I didn't know Barty Strange or Dijon before, and I feel a little bad because I didn't love them when I saw them, but like Dijon is blown up now, so I think I need to give them another chance. But Clairo and Boy Genius were so awesome. My sister and I both lost it to Graceland too. And then I also saw Guster with my dad in Boston with a full symphony, and that was so cool. He loves Guster. He raised me on them as well, and they just did a phenomenal job. I was super impressed by their musicality. In June, I discovered Jensen McCrae, and I got so obsessed with that album, and I could talk about machines for so long. I love that song. I feel like I don't agree with the moral, but just the way it's written is just, so good. Oh, and there's a vlog for that New York trip, if you want to go check it out and see all the things. I think I might have talked more about the shows that I saw in that vlog, so you can go check it out. All right, July. I spent a lot of time with my friends from church in July. I think that was the year I started going to One Way, which was this like beach hang thing. I also was playing a bunch of gigs. I got really serious about emailing all of these different places. Cape Cod has a lot of live music, but not necessarily my style, so it was sort of hard to get gigs because I wasn't like a country musician. But I was playing Bread and Roses all the time, and then playing a couple other restaurants that I got linked up with. I went to New York again in July, but that one was cool because I decided to record another song for my EP. I had only recorded 4 songs when I went in November. We got Eras tour tickets for Christmas that year, and then the day that we were supposed to go was the day in Boston that it just downpoured, and we were like, this is not worth it. And I'm not a huge Taylor Swift fan. I just kind of wanted to go like for the lore. So we decided to sell them, and we got like $2,000 for each ticket. I used that $2,000 to get another song produced, which is cool. I was really on the fence about putting out Doll, and I'm so glad I did in retrospect. I think I just was cringing because of the story behind it, which you can listen to. I made a video about that, but I'm very glad I put that out in the long run. And Taylor Swift concert paid for it. So I went to New York. It was a quick trip just to record that, but I also saw Back to the Future with my mom. She went with me, and Parade. And we both are big Ben Platt fans, and Parade, is still just one of my favorites. The score is so beautiful. It's a gripping and very heart-wrenching story. And the performances by Ben Platt and Michaela Diamond were just out of this world. I made it a point to listen to a ton of Adam Melcher that month. He is my favorite artist, my favorite songwriter, and I'll get in moods where I just want to listen to all his stuff. So big Adam Melcher month. And then I also was listening to Andrew Barth Feldman's new album. Not new as of right now, but then. And then for movies, I randomly watched the Super Mario Bros. Movie with my family. I watched Shiny Happy People, the Duggars documentary. And then I did Barbie Camp because I couldn't do Barbenheimer because Oppenheimer was sold out. Theater Camp is still one of my favorite movies. It got knocked down when Wicked came out, but I think it's like my 5th favorite movie. I just love it. Again, Ben Platt. It's so good. And then Barbie was great. Of course, we all did that. And then I didn't write any songs that month, but I was working, I was recording, doing the whole thing. So August 2023, went with my friend Abigail on a birthday trip to Maine. One of her good friends at the time had family that lived up in Maine, so we got to go and stay in their cabin and kind of explored around Maine a little bit. We went on a boat. I also was playing a bunch more gigs, so I was really on that music grind. I played Casa del Cabo, Bread and Roses, Papanis at Marketplace, Southside Cantina. I was doing all the things. And then I also started teaching music at a little music school, I guess, that was near my house. So that was really fun to get to teach younger kids and things. And I've had experience working with kids, but working with them on music was just so much fun. I mentioned one way I got baptized there. I have always been a Christian. I consider myself a liberal leaning Christian. I feel very stressed about talking about that because I feel like I get ostracized on either side of the spectrum, but both things are things that are part of me and part of my identity, and I'm constantly wrestling with, but to finally be like, why haven't I done this yet? And to get baptized was very cool. I was surrounded by all my friends, and we did it in the ocean, which is very cool and felt very fitting. I never liked the idea of doing it in a church. I feel like being in the ocean feels more like honoring creation, I suppose. People make churches, but God made the ocean. So I was listening to a lot of elevation worship, but then I also got really into Love Song by Adele. I get in those moods where I'll find an artist like that I have known about, but just never really truly listened to their whole discography, and I got super into that song. And then YU by Adam Melcher, I think that came out around then. And then that was when I watched Interstellar for the first time. That's a pretty good movie. Didn't change my world. And then I also watched Asteroid City. The French Dispatch by Wes Anderson is one of my favorite movies of all time. And so I was a little disappointed because I think Asteroid City came out after The French Dispatch. I think it just wasn't my vibe, wasn't my aesthetic. I'm not big on alien stuff. Oh, and then I wrote 2 songs that month. I wrote Into Blue, which was about being baptized. Call me farther into blue, and far from what I would know. Deep into blue is what I'll call home. But another one of those ones where it's not inherently about that. It's kind of just about entering into something new. And I'm pretty proud of that song. And then I wrote the song Cape Cod. Oh yeah, people beyond my family, past reason, buddy. People that start to cause my doubt in Cape Cod to which was about how I was finally starting to enjoy living there now that I had sort of a community and things to do and gigs and everything. I still have a very love-hate, more hate-leaning relationship with Cape Cod, but that was one of the months where I was really enjoying it. I made a list of all of the jobs I was working in September 2023, and I cannot believe I was doing this much. It didn't feel like that much. I work a lot in general in life, so I always feel like I'm working a lot, but I just, in retrospect, I'm like, wow, that was a lot. So I was waitressing still at the country club. I was still working at the athletic club. I also was teaching music at that music school, and I was substitute teaching for their preschool. I did some preschool substitute training and would come in whenever they needed me there. That was at the same place as the music school at the time. I also was dog sitting. I was playing gigs, and my parents were paying me to drive my sister back to her boarding school every weekend because she would come back from Natick, Massachusetts to Cape Cod and spend the weekends with us, and then I would drive her to and from school. So I was doing a heck of a lot, and also uploading videos all the time and working on EP release marketing and everything. And I wrote the song Alarm Clocks that month, which I think really gives you an idea of how I viewed time. I have a very problematic relationship with time. I think working so much and my time being so full like that really was making me think about it in a different way. And I really just wanted to sort of ignore time and operate on my own mental clock, which maybe I should do more because I think I'm more productive when I work that way. But if I don't know the truth of the time, all that I can do is feel it. If I don't bring alarm clocks to life, I have power to conceal I also went to New York again. This is how I saw 28 shows in a year, because I was in New York so much. But my mom like had some appointments or something in New York. I don't know why she made them there, but I last minute tagged along. She was keeping it a secret from me until like 2 days before she left. And I reorganized everything to be able to go with her. So I think she was maybe a little bit like, well, why are you doing this? But she was going to see Merrily We Roll Along alone. It's like, I gotta go. So I got to see Merrily We Roll Along with Jonathan Groff, who is one of my favorites, and Daniel Radcliffe and Lindsay Mendez. And then I also saw the play Purlie Victorious that Leslie Odom Jr. was in at the time, and I got to meet him at the stage door. And this is one of my theater flexes, is I sat like 3 seats away from Lin-Manuel Miranda in that performance. It honestly, more than seeing the play, what was so fun was hearing him laugh. And there were parts where nobody would laugh but him because of Leslie Odom Jr.'s line delivery or like an inside joke they had between them or something. And oh, it made me love it so much. It was so cool. Like, honestly, that might have been more fun than seeing him perform. And I've never seen him perform, but I feel like that was just the thing for me. There is a vlog for that as well, if you want to go check that out. I vlogged my whole week, so you can actually see all the different jobs I was working and all the work I was doing. I finished reading this book, Single and Secure, that month, so I was still doing a little bit of that, like, working on my singleness life thing. But my top song that month was My Funny Valentine by Bruno Major. His Stories version of that, which, oh, is so fun to harmonize to. There also were 3 new albums that were in heavy rotation: the new Olivia Rodrigo album, the new Leve album, and Bruno Major's new album. So I was listening to all of those a lot, and the Olivia Rodrigo album was very popular in my music lessons, so I'm glad I got right onto that. For movies, I still wasn't watching a ton. I have become a much more avid movie watcher since 2023. But I watched this like 3-part docuseries, The Price of Glee, which was all information I already knew. It was about the people in Glee who have passed away. And then I watched Little Shop of Horrors with Rachel over FaceTime, and that movie is trash, you guys. I did not like it. I love the Broadway production. All right, October 2023 was so much fun because I went to New York again. But this was really fun because, as I mentioned, my best friend Rachel went through a breakup and her parents felt really bad for her, and so they paid for her to come visit me and to go to New York. And so we planned this whole New York trip, and it was her second time in New York, but the first time she was in New York, she only saw SpongeBob, and she was there for like 4 hours. So it didn't really count. And so I got to show her all around New York. It was so much fun. We saw so many shows because she loves theater as well. So we saw Merrily We Roll Along again, and that was one of the only 2 times I have ever seen the same show back to back without any other shows in between. We stage doored that, and we met Daniel Radcliffe. That was so cool. And then we saw Moulin Rouge. I had to take her. She had never seen it. I like it way more than she does. That's my favorite musical. I feel a little guilty about that. I just love the story. It gets me. We saw Back to the Future because that's one of her favorite movies. That was the second time for me seeing that. All 3 of those were I had seen before. We went to the Paper Mill Playhouse in New Jersey to see Gatsby when it was doing its out-of-town tryout. She loves Jeremy Jordan, so we had to go see it. That was a big deal for her. And we stage doored that and saw Jeremy Jordan and Eva Noblezada. I didn't love it. I don't know if they've changed all that much. It was their first show they ever did for the public. We saw Gutenberg, which has grown on me so much since we saw it. We both love Andrew Rannells and Josh Gad, but I just love listening to that soundtrack. It makes me laugh. It's just so good. The last show that we saw separately. We both wanted to see different things because I really wanted to see Here We Are at the Shed. And that was Sondheim's final performance. It was way off Broadway. Not his final performance, his final show he ever wrote. And he passed away like halfway through writing it. So there's like no music in the second act. But that was a stacked cast. Amber Gray, Rachel Bay Jones, Michaela Diamond, Bobby Cannavale, Stephen Pascal. It was so, so good. And it was super surrealist, very absurd, especially the second act. But I just felt like it really hit the spot for me. There were a lot of songs that just really stick with me. The Soldier's Dream, I still love. I got too much to do. There's just not enough time. But I look in your eyes and I think, holy crap, it's the end of the world. I don't know. Holy crap from Sondheim is crazy, but that resonated with me. I don't know. The ticket prices were absurd. They were like over $200, but it's kind of a criticism of the upper class. So I think maybe it was intentional that they wanted the upper class to see it, but also like, would the upper class really realize the point? While we were on that New York trip, she wanted to try out a bunch of cookie places, so we went to a ton of different cookie places. There was a really funny story that made me laugh where I was telling her like, hey, you can't just be friendly with everybody in New York. You gotta keep a straight face, walk fast. I've never been in any trouble, but like, that's probably because I have kept my wits about me. If people try to offer you stuff, don't take it. Telling her all the rules, but I think I may have overcorrected because we were sitting at Schmackery's outside on a little table and eating our cookies, and this guy like walks by us and is like, what flavors are those? And I was telling him whatever. She's not making eye contact. She's looking straight at her cookies. I'm telling him, he's like, oh, I've tried this one, but whatever. He was like maybe a little bit sketchy, but like not, I don't know. I was using wisdom, and I was like, he's gonna be fine. Like, he's annoying, but whatever. And he finally is like, she's not looking at me. I was like, yeah, sorry. So she was a very good listener. But yeah, we had a lot of fun, ate a bunch of cookies, and we're funny because the one thing we can't agree on is food. She loves like mac and cheese, chicken tenders, and I'm vegan. So we went to opposite places. We didn't eat a lot of the same foods. But since I was paying for my way anyway, I didn't want to go to nice restaurants, so I was eating like Chipotle and Pulled Burger. That was a blast. And we did some of the touristy things too that I hadn't done in a while. Like we went to Central Park. Oh, we of course spent a lot of time in the Strand. We went to that library that's by Bryant Park. We stayed in the tiniest little hotel room, but it was so cool and that was so special. And we actually have done that again. It was a really cool beginning to something that it would not be the last time that we do. Other things in October, I took her to the Little Women Hill, the hill where they filmed the It's No Use, Joe, we've got to have it out. I just love that part, and it is about an hour and a half drive, maybe 2 hours from our place in Cape Cod. So I had a tradition where I was going every year. I don't think it's gonna happen this year because I live in Nashville now. For movies, all I watched was It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, but that was when I realized I love Charlie Brown. Watching it as an adult, you're just like, this is perfect. And then I got really into Shawn Mendes. That was when I started being like, oh hey, maybe I should know popular pop artists as an aspiring musician. I love knowing indie things, but also there's a reason that popular artists are popular, which I say with a grain of salt because there's a lot of money pumped into it too, but it was a vibe. I liked his album. And then I was also listening to Adam Melcher's EP, Fruitland, I think it was called. There's some really good stuff on there. It's all self-produced. November 2023 was the month that I released my first ever single. It was November 17th. Fairy Tale came out. That was a very big deal for me. And every time I think about it, every time I talk about it, it just takes me back to 14-year-old me writing those songs. And it took a lot for me to allow myself to pursue music. Now it just feels like a given, and it's like it can take however long it needs to take. But back then I was like, such an all or nothing perspective. If I don't make it, I shouldn't try it. I just feel so proud of myself for taking that step because I think my 14-year-old self would be so grateful to me for allowing myself to do that. I started recording all my pink content. I had already been wearing pink and white for a couple months, but that was when I started switching everything over, and I put out merch, which you can still buy. I think I might try to do like a little sale or something before the next thing starts because I still have a bunch of them. But yeah, there's some cool stuff that my sister designed that you can totally go buy. So most of November was occupied with doing marketing, but I also got to go on my first bachelorette trip for my friend Charlotta. I went to LA for that. It was really sweet. We watched She's the Man. We painted moments from her and her now husband's relationship in like a little park. We had a tea party, like we went to a tea house. I kind of frolicked around this really cool beach area with Rachel and Charlotta's sister-in-law, Emily. I love celebrating people's love, and it was so cool to get to actually be in a bridal party for the first time. Please hit me up, I want to be in your bridal party. I wrote 2 songs that month. It was I'm Sorry I Think I Love You, which I might have posted as like a YouTube short or a reel, I don't know, you can go dig. And then Let, which also I don't think I've recorded the full thing for YouTube because it's really short. But that one was cool because Pine Grove did this thing before they released their album where they released the lyrics and the chords, and they said, hey, make up your own melody, make up your own rhythm, do your thing. And so I wrote this song to one of their songs. It was like 11th Hour, I think. I really liked the melody that I came up with for it, and so I turned it into this song, Let. I finished reading If We Were Villains that month. That was a great book, great way to follow up The Secret History. But I think I liked it a little more, honestly, because I can resonate more with like Shakespearean plays than I can with Greek. I got really into Ryan Beatty that month, and I still go back to him in the fall a lot. Really good stuff. Cinnamon Bread, so good. And then I was also listening to Claire Rosenkrantz and I Love Vista Worship. Their EP with Mark Barlow just is one of my all-time faves. I found it when I was doing YWAM when I was in Montana. It just always gets me. It's so good. I started watching more movies in November, and I think it's just gonna ramp up from here. I watched She's the Man on that bachelorette trip. It was fine. I didn't really care. I watched the live-action Aladdin. Meh. I watched The Starving Games. Awful. Hey, if you have watched Grace Ryder's The Hunger Games but better, that is better than The Starving Games. I watched Noelle, that Anna Kendrick Christmas movie. Nerdy Prudes Must Die is on Letterboxd. This is how I found all of these, and hey, go follow my Letterboxd. But yes, that is a Star Kid production, and I got into Star Kid around the guy who didn't like musicals time, and then Rachel watched Nerdy Prudes Must Die and said I had to watch it, so I watched it. I watched Daisy Jones and the Six because I had read that book in March. It's mid. But I'm still gonna give Taylor Jenkins Reid a chance. I hear that The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is really good. Malibu Rising is supposed to be really good, so I'm sticking it out. But I was not a huge Daisy Jones and the Six person. It kind of felt like it ripped off Almost Famous. Last, but certainly not least, was December 2023. And that month was insane. It was so crazy. The only song I wrote that month was Missed Calls. I don't remember if I've uploaded that full version or not. My mom just found it and she loves it, so I might have done that for her. I don't remember. But that was about a friend who had to go through a really traumatic loss.
6 missed calls, 7 for now. He forgot to turn his ringtone down. Hotel mates knocking now. Sir, what time will you be checking out?
But on a better note, I released Open Book that month. That was, I want to say December 8th, but I think I could be wrong. It might have been the 6th. I think I was wrong last year when I was like, hey, anniversary. I do regret releasing it then because I know now that the music industry kind of shuts down for the holidays unless you're releasing Christmas songs. That wasn't smart. I think it hurt my release strategy, but I have been lucky that people are still listening to it even now, so thank you for doing that. And also, I kind of had a deadline for myself where I was going to go do the audio production school in January of 2024, so it needed to be out before that. And as I said in my recap video for like March of 2023, I wanted to release it at the end of the summer, so I was really behind on that, but I was waiting for the music video to be done and it never was, and I was like, okay, I just gotta get this done. I also, like 3 days before I released it, I went to New York again with my family. I do not remember why. It must have been a work trip for my dad or something, but I just saw a bunch more shows. I saw Here We Are again, and that was the only other time I've done a back-to-back show. I saw that with my mom. She did not like it. I saw Spam-A-Lot. That was a good time. That was James Monroe Iglehart and Ethan Slater. I saw Moulin Rouge again. I saw the Rockettes. The Rockettes are always fun, and I hadn't seen them since I was like 12. So I had a good time, Christmas spirit, and I saw Kimberly Akimbo. I had a release show for Open Book at Bread and Roses. They were very kind to let us host in that space for free. I had all these amazing vegan cookies from this local bakery. Yeah, and it was just really amazing to see everybody come together and celebrate it. I performed all the songs. It was super special. I was in my friend Charlotta's wedding. That was around December 17th, I want to say. That was in LA. It was at a ranch. It was super cool. It was amazing to be a bridesmaid. I had so much fun. I felt very special. Of course, Charlotta was the most special, but the fact that she would have me be a bridesmaid was so cool. She let me wear pink. Can you believe that? And then I also went to Disneyland with Rachel after her wedding. We planned that kind of last minute, but that was super fun too. And then I got back and spent Christmas with my family. I read The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I also watched a ton of Christmas movies. That's when my movie watching really spikes. So I watched Spirited, Elemental, Your Christmas or Mine Too, The Holdovers, A Christmas Story, Die Hard, Klaus, Home Alone, Elf, Who Killed Santa, A Murderville Mystery, Star Wars, and Hunger Games, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. My family loves Spirited. It was great the first time around. I'm getting over it. Elemental, good. I don't remember it that much. Your Christmas or Mine Too, I don't remember. I hadn't watched the first one. My family had, and they wanted to watch the sequel. But it's Christmas. You put movies on in the background. The Holdovers, great movie. Everybody loves that movie. A Christmas Story, don't remember it. Die Hard, fine. It is a Christmas movie. We need different genres of Christmas movies. They can't all be Hallmark. Klaus made me sob. It's that animated movie. But it just got me. It was like midnight, and I was just gone. I love that movie. That's one of my favorites. Elf is like in my top 10 movies of all time. I love that movie. I quote, "Bye, buddy. Hope you find your dad," all the time. Home Alone, great. Side note, I'm gonna have to talk about this in the 2025 recap, but I just watched the Jonas Brothers Christmas movie, and Andrew Barth Feldman sings the Home Alone musical with Nick Jonas. Go watch it, I'm obsessed. Murderville is this TV show with Will Arnett where he has a script, all the extras have a script, but they bring on celebrities who don't have a script. And they have to like solve murder. And there's a Christmas one that kills me every time. Maya Rudolph, Pete Davidson, Jason Bateman. Oh my gosh, it's so good. I did not like Star Wars. I gave it a chance. It didn't do it for me. I haven't seen any of the other ones. Maybe I would like them. Hunger Games, I was upset with that movie because, and I knew I would be upset going into it. You can hear Coriolanus' thoughts in the book, and he's an awful person. But then in the movie, you can't. You only see his actions. And the reasons he's doing things are super selfish, but you don't see that in the movie. I was really into Sea Rose that month. I think it's like The End of the World or something, but Funny is my favorite song on that. And then I also discovered Madison Cunningham that month. And her stuff is just so good. She is so talented and so outside of the boundaries of music, of traditional folk. On December 31st, my sister and I arrived in Florida to go to Disney World. My parents were celebrating their 25th wedding anniversary in the Maldives. It was a really great time for my dad's job at the time, so my mom was like, I feel bad for them, let's send them to Disney World. And I said, cool. So we went to Disney World together. That was very fun, and it was something that we had talked about doing for a while. All right, we made it. We did all the rest of 2023. But we have a lot to go. I'm only recording 2023 today, so we will see when I record 2024, how many parts it ends up being. I think the goal would be to do the rest of 2024 and 2025 in 3 videos or less. Let me know if you have any questions about 2024 or 2025 that I can talk about in those videos. Let me know if you have questions about 2023 and I will answer them in the comments. But I love sharing life with you guys and would love to hear more about it. And I think it'd be helpful for me to make these videos closer to the time that things happen, because I understand more what I'm feeling and going through at the time rather than just what happened, because my only authority for 2023 was really looking through my Instagram archive and my voice memos and my photo albums. Thank you for watching. Thank you for letting me take a little break from the song stuff and give you something a little different for the holiday season. I hope you're feeling so merry. I think there is a crisis in merriment right now. I'm talking to so many people who are not in the Christmas spirit, and it makes me nervous. You guys gotta get better. And I can't save you all, but I wanna do what I can. So maybe I do need to put out some Christmas songs. I don't know, but I need you to get into the spirit, okay? By next week, I wanna see you celebrating. Or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa, whatever you do. But you need to be spirited for whatever you do, okay? I'm holding you to it. I love you. Thank you for watching. Bye.